Hi, I'm Kaylee Harahan, and my unit is on Pythagorean theorem for 8th grade mathematics. My website is titled 90° Fun because that will remain throughout this unit. As you can see on my navigation bar, it includes a drop-down of 3 lessons, assessments, my unit resources, my teacher contact, which is linked to my teacher website, and my unit template. Currently we are on my home screen. On my home screen is my unit summary, which states that students will be learning the Pythagorean theorem and its converse and how we will be relating it to the real world. Below are the California Common Core standards, which we will be focusing on. They consist of explaining the proof and its converse, determining unknown lengths in the real world, and also finding the difference between 2 points. Then we have the students' learning objectives, which each correlate to the lessons 1, 2, and 3, which will be discussed more later. To the right we have the big ideas, which include our essential questions. What is Pythagorean theorem? What is the converse? How can you solve for the lengths of a polygon using Pythagorean theorem? Why is 3, 4, 5 rule so important? And how do we solve real-world problems? Where does the data given go? Now moving along the navigation, let's look at lesson 1. To start lesson 1, I have a funny Pythagorean theorem song. This is just a taste of what the students will be seeing.
Pythagorean theorem was a right triangles hypotenuse is across on the right angle, measuring b hypotenuse c for the numbers a, c, l, b, c. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
As you can see, this video is catchy and fun for the students. Next, I have a web quest. In this quest, students will go to specified sites and perform the activities. This includes answering questions based on a video, solving problems, and so on. As you can see, here's a link to a video and the questions that will correlate with that video. And then again, here's another link, and the students will be forming questions that are on that link. Below my web quest, I actually have a worksheet that the students will be completing for more practice on how to solve polygons using the Pythagorean theorem. This lesson is focused more on basics and different techniques of learning before moving on to my next lesson, which is lesson 2. Here we have Pythagorean cat solving an equation, but not really the correct way, although it's cute. But to start lesson 2, I have a presentation and Prezi. It tells of the use of the Pythagorean theorem in construction and about the 3, 4, 5 rule, and incorporates music, videos, pictures, graphs, and a project, which brings me to the next area. Before moving on to my guided notes, I'd like to show you a little bit of my presentation. And this is the 3, 4, 5 construction business. And it has a little bit of background music just to keep students focused. Pictures, just different information, questions, which the questions correlate to the guided notes. This is their project and the different steps that they will be taking, which correlate with the guided notes. I then have a movie which is on the presentation. I also have a graph of the Pythagorean theorem. And then lastly, here is my last slide for that. To go along with my lecture, I have guided notes These notes include question and project instructions to allow the kids to critically think about the information given in the lecture. Below the guided notes, I have a place for a voice thread where children will research something in the real world that uses Pythagorean theorem. I already have given them the example of the construction 345, and also if they click on the unit resource page, they can see how it correlates to football. Below that is what I call a picture wall, and I want the children to see the math that is all around them. So I have them taking 3 pictures throughout the week and pointing out the right angles. Children are constantly taking pictures and posting them on Instagram, so I figured this is a way to incorporate what they like to do with some math. After learning the real world example, which is in lesson 2, on the construction, it is time to take students to their most dreaded math topic, word problems. I start with a cute cartoon to lighten spirits, and then I start with another picture board. On this picture board, the students will take a picture of a building and blow the picture up to an 8.5 by 11. They will then use a ruler and take the measurements of the base and the height, and then figure out what the hypotenuse would be. Below that, I have instructions for the students to create a graphic organizer. I mapped out a suggested timeline for the project to the left, and I encourage students to be creative since I am not. That is why I have this little creativity graphic. Creativity is not a talent, it's a way of operating. Below the instructions is a graphic organizer which holds the questions that the students will be answering in their own graphic organizers. All of these questions are word problems, and I want the students to actually put pictures and diagrams and then mark out the steps to the questions. I have a rubric below this, which the groups will be graded on. I then have an example of a student graphic organizer, and this is just one of the questions that I show for an example, but they have to do 4 or 5 if they want to do the extra credit problem, where they come up with a real world problem on their own. Now, after the lessons, we will begin to look at the assessment page. On my assessment page, I have an assessment plan. For entry level, which is green, I have a quick draw, which they will do what do you know about the Pythagorean theorem, right angles, and numbers squared. I then have the formative, which are the corner, which I have students use the Socrative to determine which corner they belong to. I then use flashcards, the quick write, and the quiz, the Socratic quiz, which I have below. I also have a rally quiz using the theorem in multiple ways to solve for one variable. I also have them do a presentation on the Pythagorean theorem used in your life and how can you help your peers learn the Pythagorean theorem. So here is my formative assessment, which is done in the Socrative. This is my quiz that I created that allows students to use their cell phones to answer the questions and send them so that we can share it as a class. I have the short answers, I have multiple choice questions, and this just gives a quick summary of what the students are learning. Back on my assessments page, I have instructions for a group project. They aren't too in-depth because I want students to be creative as long as they meet the minimum requirements, which are set by this rubric. They will be teaching I want them to teach this unit in their own unique way. Then I have below that I have my assessment summary, which describes how the tasks on my assessment plan show me the evidence needed that my students understand the material that's been given to them. On my unit resource page, I tried to compile the websites into different groups. The first group being notes. This is similar to different style of lecture notes. I then have videos. These are for people who need like a beat to memorize or need visual pictures to see the theorem. My favorite is actually the Pythagorean murder. I would show it, but I'm running out of time. The last section on this page is actually example problems, and these are all websites that the students can go to get problems to practice, because we all know the golden rule that practice makes perfect. Next on my navigation is actually the teacher's contact. This is my teacher website, and I actually am not going to go too in depth on this website, but I do want to show that if the students or parents want to get in touch with me, I have my contact information on the home page of this website. The last page I want to discuss with you is my unit plan template. This is just the summary of everything that I just discussed. It's a digital unit plan template. I know it's kind of small because of the slideshow, but on the actual website you are able to zoom in and out and flip through the pages, as you can see right here. I'd just like to say thank you for watching my digital plan showcase, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.